Hey everyone, this is Maysha with Akasa Living, and we're bringing you an Every Life is a Story event today, and I'm honored to have with us Kristi Sullivan, Kristi H. Sullivan. Don't want to forget the H. How are you doing, Kristi?
I'm doing great today. Thank you so much for having me, Maysha.
I am so glad to have you. And Kristi is an author, but she's a solopreneur, and she's so many other things, and I'm just honored that she's here. The way that I got to know Kristi is she and I both love sharing what we do because we know that sharing our story helps other people by being authentic and sharing what we've gone through and the things that we've learned from it. We know that other people get that, wow, that sounds like me, or I've been there too. I'm not the only one. And so that that openness is something that vulnerability is something that I know that we both are glad to do. It's that thing in us that we know is a gift that we give to others. And so stop working and start overflowing. 25 ways to transform your life using human design.
Yes.
Wow. That's a mouthful, girl. And that's a beautiful book.
Thank you so much.
That is a beautiful book. And I know that human design means all these things that you've done, being a solopreneur, being in health and wellness, having done yoga, being in marketing, all of those things. Well, you did all those because of human design. And so, and overworking to overflowing, that's got to do with your human design too, I'm sure. But I'm sure everyone listening is like, what is human design? Or maybe some of them know, but they only know a little bit. And they're like, what? Stop overworking, start overflowing. And they're like, we really want to hear all of this. So I'm just going to back out and just let you, however you want to do this, share your story with us and share what you do and share about the book and just lead folks on this journey with you and let your life story and what you do help others. So thank you so much, Kristi, for being here.
And thank you again. That was a great introduction. And yeah, I discovered human design about 7 years ago. And at the time, it was a great tool that I discovered through a coaching program that I was part of. A lot of people probably are familiar with personality assessments and such. And I'm one of those fans of taking, different quizzes and answering different questions. Human design's a little bit different because it's based on your birth date. Sort of like astrology, but I call it astrology on steroids because human design is a little more complex than astrology. It is your energetic blueprint based on your birth date. It does not change. So unlike a personality assessment, which can change sometimes when you get older, work on different parts of yourself, sometimes some aspects of your personality and character change, improve, shift. And in human design, your blueprint is always your blueprint. It's who you are at your core. So when I discovered it, it was like another tool in this toolbox of mine to help me discover more of who I am. It really helped shed some light on a lot of things for me, like the idea that working hard and harder and trying to make things happen was not really the energy that served me. It's something I could do, and I could try to keep doing that. A lot of us do, and then we get burned out, frustrated, sometimes health issues. And what I discovered was a different way to shift and apply my energy. It's sort of like my operating system. I learned how to, tune up the car or to learn how it best ran, and I was able to drive the car better on life's path. So that's when I discovered it about 7 years ago, and now I'm teaching it and sharing it because not many people know what it is. So I'm here to help shed that light.
I stumbled across it on my journey with fibromyalgia, and I was already working with a quantum emotional healer. I was already doing meditation and all of that, and it gave me the piece of the puzzle with fibromyalgia about, okay, the problem is my human design was what I remembered from it. The aspect that my aha moment was that I don't deal well with the density of energy here, and that's the whole thing with fibromyalgia. It's an energy management issue, and it was like a light bulb moment for me. And so everything for me from that moment on has been energy management. And so that's how I ended up. that's what all I talk about now is everything is about the energy management of things. And so it's taken me down a path. Although I didn't stay on studying human design all the time. It set me down the line of everything became about the energy of things. So I do understand that it is an amazing tool. So yes, I'm just thrilled that you found it and that you were able to find a way that okay, instead of working harder, I'm going to apply. I'm going to take what I'm learning here and I'm going to use that to find a better way. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And about 20 years ago, I discovered yoga. And for me, that opened me up to this idea that how we integrate our mind and body and spirit, our energy, all of this was like new for me. And I got excited because I thought, wow, this is amazing. It's very interesting. Human design also got me excited because it helps you to understand yourself at that energy level, like for you, to help you with managing your health and wellness. For some people, it also improves how they relate to others, their relationships, their communication. Because when you understand your energy and who you are and how that energy maybe processes in you, how you absorb energy from others versus how you're producing energy, then you not only can help make other choices that are better for you, but you can even really honor that other people are built differently. There's 2 billion combinations. But I love what you talked about, that just this idea of managing our energy is so important. Even if you don't know your human design or don't go diving into the rabbit hole of this this complex system, just know that managing our energy, we talk about managing stress, but underneath that is managing energy. How on a day-to-day basis are we aligning ourselves, doing things that serve us, saying no to things that don't. And when we do that, then our health and wellness really does improve, and so many things improve. And, life is never perfect, but managing the energy it helps us get through the things that may be difficult.
Right. Yeah. But by managing the energy of it, since everything is energy, then we improve all the aspects of life. So yes. So, all right. So I know that you wanted all my birth information when we started this. So something tells me you got something up your sleeve with that.
Well, I love to, as a thank you, give hosts an opportunity to get a little mini reading from me. And it gives the audience a little peek into how human design works. And if you were to look up online, there's places your listeners can go to look up their human design. You have to know your birth information, including your location and time. That's helpful. And then the system kind of shows you this blueprint. And I always recommend speaking to somebody who knows human design, a practitioner like me, who can kind of help you walk through what that chart is and what are the symbols and the colors and the lines mean. And I like to also break it down into some basic ways to understand, simple ways to understand your design. So the first place we start at is called your energy type, kind of like your astrology sign. There are 5 main types, and 2 of them are under the category of generators. Generators make up about 70% of the population. The other 30% are not generators. They're different types called the projector, manifestor, or reflector. Those 3 types are here to be very mindful and intentional about their energy. Generators have a lot of energy to use up through the day, so to speak. That's the first thing that I usually point out. So you are a subgroup called the manifesting generator. You have a lot of energy. I'm a generator, and both of us have a lot of energy. And you usually have a quicker energy. You like to move a little bit faster, maybe juggle things, multiple things during the day, and sometimes find shortcuts or kind of skip steps. That's naturally who you are.
I'm the queen of quantum leaping.
Oh, love
I
that.
am the queen of quantum leap. If there's a quantum leap, I get the download for it.
Yeah. And exactly when you start to recognize it's a gift, there is nothing wrong in your human design, nothing you have to fix. But when you start to recognize the energy you have and how it's a gift, I love that you said that, because you can leap. And you also want the support of people around you. So one of the things that's important and advice that I'd give to a manifesting generator is inform those around you what you might be doing, because you move so quickly that they may have a little resistance, not being sure of this energy that's fast, as well as they're not sure maybe about their role and how to support you. So you can really get more support from others when you inform them, to let them know kind of where you're headed in your direction. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes. Unfortunately, I call myself a bear in a china shop. And I fear that the problem is I tend to over-inform. It's kind of like I kind of rush in, and it's kind of like, okay, this is how it is. This is where I'm going. This is what's up. And it's kind of like people are like, what? Because I was a boss for so many years, and I fixed long-term care facilities. So that's how I think. That's how I operate. It's like, okay, this is how it is. This is, so I kind of, that's kind of how people meet me, is I'm kind of like, okay, this is me and this is that. And I don't do it to be over the top or to be, it's just, I know that I make decisions quickly. And when I get new information, the decision changes. And that doesn't mean I'm flighty. That doesn't mean I didn't mean what I said when I said it. It means the information has changed. And therefore, I have no problem with changing my, I have no problem with saying I was wrong. I have no problem with saying I'm sorry. I have no problem, things moved. It's different now, so yeah, I can be too much for people.
Well, something else I want to talk about that's in your chart that could be helpful is manifesting generators in general have what's called a defined throat center.
Yes.
And typically that means that you can be talkative, and you said you overinform. And again, that's maybe natural that you're speaking up and sharing. Now, I want to say something important, that's life experience, your family, your traumas, things that have happened in your life can definitely condition and program you in different ways. So for example, sometimes manifesting generators who could be really talkative as children are told to be quiet. Children should be seen and not heard. And for some, maybe they suppress that voice. When you're explaining that you tend to be talkative, again, that's a natural part of your system and your energy. And your words are very powerful. That's probably why you're a podcast host as well, because you can help guide and share with others in words and speaking communication. So I want to say that. And then, the other beautiful thing about this is that you can help others to also share. And sometimes you can pause and let others do the speaking. And you said you're already informing, which is great. The other thing you mentioned is about decision making. This is another area of the design that we go over in a reading. Everyone has a unique way of making decisions. And I have to say, we are taught that it's the head. The head is where we make decisions, process information, but really the head is just meant to hold information and receive insights and wisdom. But it's the body that has our inner guidance and wisdom to help us make decisions. And for you, your uniqueness is around the emotional center. You have an emotional wave or highs and lows. About 50% of the population have this. And it means that for you, take time making decisions. And that's why you made a note that sometimes you have to change your mind. Mm-hmm. What I would recommend is you actually wait to make a decision about 24 hours and let people know, can I get back to you? Or I think this is a yes, but I'll confirm tomorrow. Sleep on it. And then give yourself some space and time to feel this emotional wave that you naturally ride before you get the clarity to know from the body whether you should say yes or no. Does that make sense?
Yes. And actually, that is something over the years that I've had to do as well. I make fast decisions, like with work and like with data driven stuff, with emotional type things, those type things, I do tend now. Now, you notice how I stumbled over that. Well, I do tend now to, I've learned that it's the hard way. I've learned that it's like, oh boy, that was not the right thing to do. Um, because because the emotions will, they do that, and I've found that that is definitely the case. And I was definitely raised, as you said, being told children are to be seen, not heard. I was in and out of the box. It was that kind of thing. It was perform now, get back in the box. It was very confusing. It was,
Yeah.
so all of those things do apply. They're absolutely, that blueprint is dead on. And so, and I remember when I read about it, I was like, all of this stuff is just always so amazing. So I found it to be an amazing tool when I read it. So yeah.
And something you mentioned that can be helpful is to just recognize that our parents or caregivers or even teachers and authority figures, they have a unique design. So they're operating in that design thinking, well, let me teach and guide, raise others like children to be a certain way. But we're really unique. And so learning about human design at an early age or learning about your children's human design can be really amazing. And the other thing I wanted to say was the, the idea just that honoring who you are. And you said you're kind of naturally doing things now. As we go through life, we tend to more align with our human design more than we realize, even if you don't know what human design is, because we're learning things, we're going through experiences. So often when I'm doing a reading, it can validate for somebody something that they know. It gives them permission to be more of who they are and to not have to try to conform to others. And to really, when you get to honor who you are, that's like a gift. That's you shining your light. And then I think it also leads to more compassion and understanding for others and that they're, again, unique and they're built differently and that we all don't have to be the same. What's important is the gift of our uniqueness.
I think the gift that this is for parents, especially with young children, but it could be any age, it could be any relationship for that matter. It doesn't have to be parents and child, but any relationship is, okay, I really am uniquely me, I really different. And what I am consciously aware of naturally, my blueprint, this is naturally me. Hold on a second, that's okay. And they are naturally this way. And that's okay. They really are naturally that way. They're not making that up. It's not because they're from a different part of the country, or they just really are naturally that way. And so you can approach each other then from it's more data. It's something you can have in your hand that's real, it's tangible. It's not a, well, maybe they're just that way with me, or maybe it's something I've done that's causing them to be that way with me, or it eliminates all of that kind of stuff. So it gives us something tangible to put in what I like to call the relationship dimension, and to then work with from there. And so it can be, okay, this is me and that's you. And so how do we work with that from there? And so it's real tangible data then, to information to then work with, and know that neither person needs to fix anything or be any different. This is just really who you are. And then you can make decisions from that standpoint. And as a parent, instead of trying to fix your child or make your child be a certain way, get in this box or that box, it can be, oh, this is what my child is. And so this is how I need to work with my child and help them be the best they can be. And, or that's, I love this person, but that's their tendency. So how do I work with that and help them grow? How do I help this relationship grow? And how, so that's how I see it. Is that?
Yeah, that's a great explanation and description, because I mentioned the car analogy earlier, that we're all on the path of life and this is the car we're driving. Human design, I find it's the mechanics of who you are. It's like looking under the hood of that car and seeing how are you wired, and how are you built. And I've done readings with parents and their child or children to help them understand each other in a different way, and to help improve maybe their relationship. And again, like you said, nothing has to be fixed. How you're wired is truly how you're wired. And so, human design is a great tool for that. And you mentioned also like data, and some people like want to know about science. Well, what's interesting is quantum physics is a science, and astrology, as we know, planets are part of science too.
Right.
So there's really some data behind this, and that the combination of human design is astrology, Kabbalah, I Ching, and the chakra system. And these are all ancient wisdoms that have been around for thousands of years. But human design brings that together. And so it's really quite an interesting system.
Wow. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of old, ancient knowledge that was gathered and used in so many different ways, that it was been put together in this unique way and then quantified. And that's why that's why you need a reader such as yourself to help you decipher it. And that's one reason why I kind of went away from it, is because I didn't have someone to help me with it like you. And so I would highly recommend that, because I'm someone who doesn't shy away from much of anything, and it was intimidating for me. So I definitely knew that I needed someone to help me with it if I was going to delve into it more. So I found it fascinating and helpful, but I would definitely want to work with someone. So what does that look like? What does working with someone like you, what does that look like?
So I want to first say, like yoga, you can go to many different yoga classes and different teachers with different styles. There's many people who teach and share human design, who can give what we call readings, and each have a little bit different style. The information should be solid. It's all from the same source, like yoga. But some people focus more on business, some more on relationships. What I like to do is help simplify, your chart and this information. So what I typically do, a couple ways I work with people. One might be just once a month, I do an overview of human design webinar for people who just want to dip their toes in it. There's a lot of information I said online, so you can find stuff also online. The second way, I do readings with either one-on-one readings with people. So we look at the chart and I walk you through the different elements, or I do group readings. Like if you want to get a bunch of girlfriends together and have like a group reading. Yeah, that's been fun to do. Or I said also families can do that. And so there's a lot of great practitioners out there. And again, my book that is called Stop Overworking, Start Overflowing is a collaboration with 25 other human design practitioners. So there's a lot of great people who you can turn to get either insight or a reading from. And we sit down, we go through the elements. The other important part is there's a lot of information. So I recommend you know that it's a journey. It's a marathon, not a sprint. When you try to understand your chart, it takes time. And the other piece is to experiment, to know that learning or hearing the information is only one part. The next is see what's true for you. Experiment with your design, or in what we call living your design. And I offer also a support group or sharing circle for people who do readings with me. So that on a weekly basis, we touch base. But there's many other ways to experiment and see how what your design and what you learned, see how it integrates into who you really are, and how you can make shifts in your life and really align to the design of who you are.
Okay, so how does all of those things, how did that translate into stop overworking and start overflowing? And how did all that come about? And how do we get there? Because I know people are like, okay, where's the stop overworking part? I want to do that.
So I'm going to give an example with like your chart. So knowing, for example, that you're a manifesting generator, one of the key pieces is while you do move fast, it's important that you actually respond to things rather than initiate. And so that little piece, we tend to be overworking when we're trying to be busy and keep up. and make things happen when we slow down a bit and notice, like, what are the things in front of me, and how do I want to respond to them? Do I want to do this? Do I really feel like this is right for me? And we choose more mindfully with our body, actually, with less mind and more body fully, and make that choice with our inner wisdom. That can lead to so much more flow in life, more ease and flow. And I've heard from people who have done a reading with me or with others that their business is thriving more because they're doing more self-care, slowing down. They're not burning out. Their health is better because they're not trying to keep up and be busy. And, we have to set boundaries in place. But some of those are around how our energy, like going back to what you said, how are we managing our energy? And that's really key for, I think, how you learn to live in the right design that you are, in the design that you were born with, and how to start overflowing and allow life to flow instead of trying to make it happen and initiate things that really you need to respond more to. Does that make sense?
Since you used me for an example, if you don't mind, I will continue using me for an example, because I do have fibromyalgia. And many people in our world don't like when you go ahead and say you have an illness, because we're supposed to be able to magically just not have them, and that's just not true. I had to do exactly what you said. I am a major initiator, of course, because I'm a manifester, and that's what we do. We manifest things. We think them up. We that's what we do. And I can initiate myself right into a flare and right into bed and right into not able to function in a heartbeat. And so I have definitely had to do everything you just said. My whole world is different, and I live at a pace that most people look at and don't accept, because they look at me and they don't understand it. I look just fine to most people, but I go at a pace that I have learned to accept that the world doesn't have to understand. I know that I go at this pace and I can live healthy and happy, whole and complete. And I still sometimes get in initiation mode. I get in that manifesting mode. I want to, let's do this. And now what about, because that is how I was made. But then I have this everything in me, especially as I've become more and more in my gifts and more empathic, that says, no, you can't do that. You're going to be sick. You've got to lay down. You have to take a nap now. So my whole world is different now. I live entirely differently. I get up in the mornings. I do meditation. I take my walk. I rest if I need to. I take a nap during the day. I do this. I help people. What I call success and what others call success is not the same thing. The 6-figure consultant, she doesn't exist anymore. But this Maysha, she's not in flares. She's not crying at night wondering what is wrong with me. She's not at the doctor begging, please make the pain stop. She's not collapsed for a month in bed, not knowing what's wrong with her, and then up for 2 months and then collapsed again. She's none of those things. And the world doesn't see me as successful anymore. But me, I'm the healthiest I've been probably my whole life. And if that's not success, then I don't know what is.
Well, that's an amazing testimony for how your life has shifted. And I want to say there are people out there who are starting to recognize that success is not based on a dollar figure. Right. It's based on your quality of life and not the work-life balance, but the lifestyle in general that includes work. Yes. And how to create it the way that you want to, that brings you joy. And that's really shifting. That's starting to shift. One of the things too, I learned in my studies, and whether or not you know your human design, what's interesting is that there's something called functional burnout happening, where we're seeing that. We're starting to see it's not through just health, but people starting to change their jobs, the great resignation happening, where people are trying to make choices in life for for themselves. And it's not related to a dollar figure anymore, because what's more important is, there's a value to our health and well-being, right? And a value to our lifestyle and how we're living more in joy. And what's interesting is if you do that self-care and you do live in this way, you are more successful, and the money will flow if you're not putting that first, but putting yourself first, your self-care, I call it. So even if you don't know human design, I encourage everybody who is listening to experiment with doing more self-care, like you just talked about. Even if you don't have an illness or something right now affecting your health, do the self-care and
Yes.
see what happens. It's so important.
Yes, absolutely. I loved what you said, because Diana Leader and I were having a discussion yesterday, and we were calling it conscious lifestyle. Because
I love that.
Yeah, conscious lifestyle is what she was saying yesterday, because that's what she used in your voice. Conscious choice, conscious voice, conscious lifestyle. And I think that's what people are deciding, is consciously, what is our lifestyle going to be. And I think that you have something that you are teaching that for many people who, as I said, need something in their hands, that they can say, this is science, this is real, this is not those people saying something that they feel, or that they're hearing, and that they can't explain to me where it's coming from, all of those things. Or it's not a tarot reader or whatever, which I believe in all those things, but this is something that people can get behind, because there's a science to it that makes it resonate with a different group of people. And that's why we need all the different things. And that I can say for a fact that I did stumble upon, and there were bits and pieces of it that I took that validated the path I was already going down, that led me to where I'm at now. And had I had someone like you around that could go ahead and help me with it, because like I said, it was overwhelming to me on my own, and there just wasn't anyone around when I found it. I'm quite sure I would have gone further down the path, and I want to know more about it. And I know you now, and a few others doing it, because there's so much there in it. So I definitely encourage people, especially those who this kind of thing resonates with, if they want something that's, oh, this is what that means, and they can look at it, and they want the science of it, they want that, then this is for them, no doubt about it. Absolutely for them. Yeah. So you were getting into the not overworking, but you were definitely hitting on the overflowing part. So want to talk a little bit more about what overflowing means, because a lot of people, abundance, we redefine abundance now too. So maybe get into that some, because I think that's a really important part. I know you were kind of hedging on it, but let's go into that. What exactly is abundance? Because that's what we have a different. We're coming to a different paradigm about what overflowing is, I think.
Yeah. Well, I start with the phrase like being in the flow. If you don't know what that means, I feel like that just means like things seem to be lining up for you. It doesn't mean life is perfect. It doesn't mean we don't have hard things that happen or hard emotions. And growth happens in discomfort, usually not in comfort. But there's a flow where things, the puzzle pieces seem to fit together, or you find one step in front of the other, and the path just sort of magically appears. For many of us, like the generator types, in the flow means that we are responding and noticing what we're responding to. We have an inner magnet with our energy, and when we're aligned, we attract, so to speak, or at least see the things that are on that path that are meant for us to perhaps step to or move forward with. And I think that happens for everybody. When again we're mad, when we're aligned in our energy, that path magically appears, or seems to. And really, it's, again, I think some science to it, because we're mindfully in that flow, instead of focused on the outward trying to make things happen. We're more focused and clear on what's in front of us. And I think slowing down can help with that. That's why we're stopping the overwork, because if you're overworking, you're usually too busy, you're going too fast, you're not really mindful of what you're doing. Slowing down and then getting into that flow, and then the flow just keeps happening and you're overflowing before you know it, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. Absolutely. So tell us where everyone gets a hold of you. I know, first of all, here we go. My banners are like all jumping around on me. This is the book, Stop Overworking and Start Overflowing, 25 Ways to Transform Your Life Using Human Design. This is because you have 25 different authors, so 25 different stories, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So, and it's Amazon for sure, right?
It's on Amazon. You can also find a link on my website, which is KristiH Sullivan.com.
Okay.
And thank you. And it is on Amazon. It's available as an ebook as well as this soft cover here. And I can also be reached through Facebook or Instagram. Thank you for that. And I do have a group called Kristi's Human Design and Self-Care Community, which is where I usually post things that are going on that I'm offering. So that's the other group you can join.
All right. And so what goes on with your Facebook group? What all do you do there?
So I love to provide information and inspiration about self-care, human design, just to have the engagement too of people sharing with each other, because it's more of a community than just a business page, we'll call it. And I also post the events that I'm doing, whether it's talks or podcasts like this. I'll be sure to post a replay of this podcast on there. And again, just a way for people to connect with each other, connect with me, and to learn more about human design and just receive inspiration for self-care.
All right. Well, I think the book is amazing because there's 25 different points of view about this, because I know there are, as with all of these modalities, there are different ways to do them. And so I think that is an amazing thing in and of itself. So the book, definitely check out the book, but also check Kristi out because I love her very practical, common sense way. And also the way that you're wanting to do it with groups of people, because I think I'm really big on the fact that the group dynamic, because we are here to be in relationship. And when we do that, we exponentially grow everything whenever we focus on relationships. So I love that you're doing it in that way. So we have some time left. So what is there that we've not said about human design, or about what you do, or about the book, or anything that any one last thing that you would like to get in there? Just feel free to. Anything we've not covered.
Well, I know we've talked about self-care and the importance. I usually teach also about the type of self-care that's really key for the energy management, is not just like eating well, sleeping and exercising, movement. I know for some of the human design types, like the generators, movement is really important every day.
Yes.
But there's also this inner work, learning about what were we conditioned with, what no longer serves us, what are things that we have to heal, like from past traumas, but also from ancestral lineage, things that we might be carrying. They're showing, again, science is showing there's a genetic passing on of experiences, not just of our genes and different things physically. There's even emotional things and energetic things. So addressing, what can you do for yourself to help align your energy by clearing and healing and doing some of this inner work. And like you said, there's many different ways. There's lots of modalities and practitioners out there who are doing healing work,
Yes.
like you discovered with your journey. So find someone that resonates for you, or, coming to like my self-care page, you can see that there's different modalities, connect with different tools. And part of that is just the journey that we're taking, is to discover who we are, discover what we need for ourselves to thrive. So do some self-care, do the inner work, and it will pay off.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is, of course, what we do here is bring people like you and the people you're talking about, so they can connect, so people here can find what they resonate with. And I couldn't agree more that learning how to manage our energy every day and disconnect from those things that don't serve us, whether they be something from yesterday or from yesteryear or from even further back, is absolutely key. This has been wonderful. I appreciate the mini reading. I appreciate the reminder of what I am, because I had forgotten what it was, but I had not forgotten that it was spot on. I did remember that. I remember saying, oh, yeah, that's me. So thank you so much. And I'm just so glad that we got to actually do this. And folks, please do reach out again. Let me show one more time. This is the website for those of you who wanted to know. And of course, I'll have it in the information. And this is the Facebook for those of you who want to know. And this is the book. Please do support and read the book. Yep, that's such a beautiful book. That waterfall is amazing. That waterfall is amazing.
Yeah, I love that. I love waterfalls.
And of course, this is the lady, the author, the solopreneur, and the human design self-care, stop overworking, start overflowing expert herself, Kristi H. Sullivan. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Maysha. Nice to be here.
Okay, you all. You know what I'm going to say? You're never out of ink as long as you're breathing. You can always write your story, your life, your story, your way. Thank you all for being with us.